We have ourselves a football game later today with the Green Bay Packers versus the Washington Commanders. So the question for today is, will the Green Bay Packers defense show up and dominate the Commanders now? They're going to be at home again. And then I'm here to say, JJ McCarthy winning player of the week. I ain't even going to hold you. It's laughable. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host, Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another episode. So if you tuned in, love talking this football talk, how we talk it, hit that like button and subscribe. Go ahead and join the family, man. But hey, we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Washington Commanders later this evening on the Thursday night matchup. That should be very, very exciting. The Green Bay Packers are going to be home, and the Washington Commanders are coming to town. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest question for me is, will the Green Bay Packers defense be able to dominate the Washington Commanders, kind of like how they went out there and dominated the Detroit Lions last week? Now, when you talk about how the Packers defense handled the Detroit Lions offense, man, did they whoop up on them boys. Man, did they whoop up on them boys. It was, bro, you had the Green Bay Packers go out there and that defense pretty much not a too bad of a day for Jared Goff. If you go and look at the numbers, I think it was like 31 or 39 for 200 and about 200 yards passing. And yeah, the numbers don't look so bad, but when you look at the percentages and how everything looked, if you go and watch the film, everything was behind the line of scrimmage, very, very short. They kept everything right in front of them, that Green Bay Packers defense, that is. And I got to show love and I got to give credit what credit is due. They play a physical style of football last game that they played. And when you talk about the Washington Commanders now coming into town and looking at the Green Bay Packers after holding the Detroit Lions just to 46 yards, you got to ask yourself the question, will they be able to do the same thing to the Washington Commanders? Just last week, the Washington Commanders versus the Giants, they put up 432 yards of total offense. Crazy work. And 220 yards on the ground. That is crazy work. Now, the biggest thing with the Green Bay Packers for me and that defense is, how can you make sure that Micah Parsons is also getting his reps, but when he's not on the field, can you maintain? And I think that one thing that works in the Washington Commanders' favor is that running game. 220 yards on the ground is something they're not probably going to do every single week. But how can you apply that pressure to a Green Bay Packers defense that wants to tee off and allow Micah Parsons to utilize what he's great at, which is rushing the passer? Now, in previous games and previous seasons, we've seen offensive coordinators kind of place an emphasis on the run game to wear Micah Parsons down. And what better time than now? For the Green Bay Packers, Micah Parsons, he hasn't practiced much this season so far because, back in Dallas, he was going through his contract dispute. And now he's trying to work himself into football shape. And that's why you've seen, I believe it was only 29 snaps that he played last week. And now on a shorter week, how many snaps do you expect Micah Parsons to go out there and play? Now, Micah Parsons himself, he did come out and speak with the media and pretty much said that, hey, he wants his coach to allow him to go out there and tire himself out so he can build up and, build up that endurance and build up that stamina well enough so he can kind of speed up the process since he's such, so young at this age of 26. And so when you look at that and you consider that, how many plays do you expect Micah Parsons to play today? I don't know, maybe 40, if that. Coming off a short week, we shall see. And the biggest thing with those things like that, with considering Micah Parsons hasn't played much this season, you don't want to go out there and have them run into some soft tissue injury like a hamstring or something like that. You don't want those issues. So the Green Bay Packers are going to definitely have to be strategic in how they utilize Micah Parsons. Now, when it comes to the offensive side of the Green Bay Packers, if we compare the Green Bay Packers offense to the Detroit Lions offense, stat wise, the numbers pretty much line up. You know what I'm saying? The numbers look very, very similar. It's not like that the offense went too crazy, but they absolutely made some plays to where they can just allow their defense to pin their ears back and really just tee off on the Detroit Lions for the rest of the game. So it's going to be some interesting things, but I'm looking at the Washington Commanders for the offense. How can you sustain drives? How are you going to continue to utilize this run game? We've seen Jaden Daniels get out there and get some rush yards. We've seen Deebo Samuels, and we've seen some of those running backs in Washington go out there and, utilize their legs as well and really place emphasis on that run game. And for the Washington Commanders defense, one thing that I'm going to be watching this entire season is how well do they all continue to gel and how well can they stay healthy, because this is one of the older units that's around the NFL. But you got to show head coach Dan Quinn his love. You got to show head coach Dan Quinn his love. He is no scrub when it comes to making sure his defense ready, getting the best out of his players, and making sure they are ready to go. Now, if you're the Washington Commanders defense, how do you look at the Green Bay's offense to where they got all these young wide receivers, but not necessarily a true number one quite right now? Yes, that guy appears to be a guy like Romeo Doubs, but outside of that, I thought the expectation was going to be more so on the lines of looking at Matthew Golden. But the good thing is for the Green Bay Packers, when all those different type of wide receivers, you can hit teams however you want to hit them. You know what I'm saying? Christian Watson, I don't expect to play tonight, but when you talk about Romeo Doubs, you talk about Jaden Reed, you talk about Matthew Golden, and then you talk about the tight end and Robert Kraft. Hey, that's a number of weapons that you can absolutely utilize and that you have to game plan for to try to figure out what the Green Bay Packers are trying to do if you are the Washington Commanders that are in defense. So I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. I'm not going to go out there and say they're going to dominate, but I think that the Green Bay Packers defense will be able to go out there and make some plays simply because they're going to have the home crowd around them. We know whether you like the Green Bay Packers or not, that Lambeau Field is one of the hardest places to play at because it just be so damn packed out and wild. And on a Thursday night, you got to expect that after the week one win that they got to where they seen that defense and they seen the glimpses of Micah Parsons, people are going to show up. This is a team that has season ticket holders that has been passed down through generations, which is crazy work. Not a lot of teams can say that. Not a lot of teams can say that, if you know what I mean. So we shall see. My prediction, I'm gonna go with the home team on this Thursday night. I think it's gonna be a close one, 27-24. I got the Green Bay Packers winning the game, but I don't necessarily think the defense will dominate. Now, before we get up out of here, I want to talk about JJ McCarthy winning Player of the Week. Crazy work. Not even gonna lie to you. He won NFC Player of the Week. And I'm not trying to take anything from JJ McCarthy, right? But what about an entire game? Like, did we take any consideration into an entire game for JJ McCarthy? Like, what are we doing? And I get it. That fourth quarter, JJ McCarthy did his damn thing, bro. You can't hate. You can't hate. JJ McCarthy did his damn thing, and you got to show love to a young quarterback and what he was able to do. But it's laughable to me because JJ McCarthy had 3 bad quarters while a guy like Baker Mayfield put up similar numbers, probably better if we keeping it a buck, and led a comeback victory over the Atlanta Falcons and came out with the victory. So how the hell JJ McCarthy win that over him? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. What? We took into account that JJ McCarthy is a rookie? Look, he showed up in the fourth quarter. But last time I checked, football is 4 quarters, not just 1 quarter. And Baker Mayfield was on. And when it was time to go cash in and win the game, he went out there and won the game. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. They want to show him love. I'm not going to take anything from the young fella. It's just laughable. I think it's just laughable. I'm laughing at that whole entire situation because I think that was guys that were more deserving of, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more praise than what they received, especially in the NFC, bro. But shout out to JJ McCarthy. Can't take nothing for him. Man, hey, call me salty. I don't give a damn. Call me salty. Call me salty. I don't care. Like, again, can't take nothing from the young man, but he only played well for one quarter. I seen guys like Baker Mayfield look a lot better. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is when it comes down to that, man. It is just week one. There's going to be a lot of overreactions and stuff like that, but we take it for what it is, man. We take it for what it is, you know? And hey, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. But that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Me and Steve-O will be bringing you all a post game once the game in Green Bay concludes with the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. We will be live after the game, as long as there's no rain delays. If it's a rain delay, count me out. We'll be back in the morning because ain't nobody waiting an hour and a half. Hey, we can't wait an hour and a half to watch football and enjoy it. But we supposed to be getting ready to enjoy some good football tonight, man. Let me know y'all predictions for the game down below. But hey, that is it for me. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you always love football, and y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks